And welcome into Press Box Live, kind of a special edition of Press Box Live this week. I'm doing two videos this week, one with my guest that you're looking at right now, Frank Remesch, the general manager of the Baltimore Arena. We're going to talk to him about some exciting stuff involving the new look arena, which will open next February. But first, I got to tell you about an old standard, kind of like the Civic Center or Baltimore Arena, the Costas Inn. If you're a crab lover, steamed crabs, you don't have to worry that you're still a little nervous about eating out at a restaurant. The Costas Inn makes it very easy for you with their new and improved curbside pickup or takeout. They used to call it takeout. Now it's called curbside. You can get steamed crabs, crab cakes, steaks, salads, chicken, any dishes you want, great desserts. They pack it up immaculately. Just simply go to their website, costasinn.com. That's COSTASINN.com. You can order your food, pay for your food, leave your tip, and then just pull up and they'll bring it out to your car. And everything, as I said, is immaculately packed. The Costas Inn, a classic restaurant in the Baltimore area. Well, we're here to talk to Frank Remesch about what some people say is a classic old building. Some people think it's the bane of our existence in Baltimore sports, but we're talking to the guy who has made that one of the most profitable arenas in the country for a long time. Frank, first of all, how long have you been with the Baltimore Arena / Royal Farms Arena, now / Baltimore Arena again? How long have you been with the building?
I gotta tell you, before we start, this is really hard to concentrate because I'm thinking about crabs right now. So this has got me all thrown out.
Yeah.
Great lead in.
I'll have to take you and Adam Gladstone out for some crabs.
That sounds like a plan. You're going to regret that. But anyway, yeah, I started in 1988, 34 years ago. Started out as a building electrician and kind of worked my way up. I like to say I won through attrition, and here I am. I've been managing the building since 2004 as GM.
You understand why sports fans have always, or the recent vintage, after sampling Camden Yards, after sampling the new arenas in Washington and Largo, why they became frustrated with the limitations of the building as sports fans.
Yeah, and really all fans. I mean, I love the building. The building, I owe so much of my career and my life to that building, so it's hard for me to pick apart my baby. Yep, but I'm a realist. I'm from Baltimore, so I love sports. I love the Orioles and I love the Ravens. And that being said, that was a very peculiar building. I won't bore everyone with it because everyone already knows the story. But it was truly a multi-purpose house built in '62. It was a theater. It was an orchestra. It was an arena. It was a convention center. So they try to do it all.
Yep.
And when you're a jack of all trades, you're a professional of none, right? So that's the problem. And sight lines were awful. The acoustics were, touch and go. Some really quirky stuff. Not a real good place to play sports. It's not a round building. So that being said, when you see these new buildings come online, Cat One Arena and Philly, that just almost makes it worse because then, we already have a little man's complex in Baltimore. Yep. Being between these two monsters. And then when you see gorgeous buildings as those two come up, it makes us hungry even more.
So I guess my question, hearing you being a realist and talking practical to us out here in the listening audience and viewing audience. So why are we, first of all, how much are we, how much is the Oakview Group sinking into this project? And why do they feel that money is retrievable? Because it's a pretty sizable number.
Yeah, and look, I've been through this because I wasn't with Oakview. I was with the other company, and I basically almost been a city employee. I mean, I work as an agent for the city of Baltimore. So my loyalty was always to the building and to the city of Baltimore. And this is tough because there's a gentleman who is basically the CEO of Oakview Group, which is it's not just an arena management group. It's also an investment group.
Okay.
And we got him because he's got heartstrings in Baltimore. He started as the first GM of the Baltimore Blast.
You're talking about Tim Lewicki.
Tim Lewicki, yeah.
Lewicki.
And it was Baltimore. It was his coveted dream that he could never get. And and the opportunities opened up. And he has faith in Baltimore, and this is 100% his money, period. His money and investors, but this is no municipality money whatsoever. I promise you, nothing behind the scenes. And for someone, we should be very proud that a group such as his would invest in our beautiful city. We all love our city. We all have faith in our city, but to see people from outside, that shows a lot. And you will see, I know I'm getting ahead of us, but this is something Stan and I talked about before. This is going to spur a lot in that area. I promise you, because the crowd draws a crowd. Once this arena grows up, you're going to see restaurants, obviously parking garages, hotels, homes, the whole 9 yards.
So you think this building, and Tim and the Oakview Group think this can become like the hub of an economic development boom around there, where the Morris Mechanic Theater used to be, the hotels around that area?
I absolutely do, without a doubt. They're sinking over $200 million into our building, and this is, and look,
that's million with an M.
Yes, and the thing is, I remember when he said, "What do you think people are going to think?" I said, "No one's going to believe it. They will." People from Baltimore are so skeptical, including me, because I've been through this so many times. I remember when I talked to the mayor about this, and he said, "Is it real?" And I go, "Yes." The first time I've ever said this about any other group. And I go, "No, this is real. They believe it. They have the backing. They really have. This is a group. If you do your homework, they built a building in New York. They built a building in Seattle. They're going to build a building in Vegas. New York was, and don't quote me exactly, I'm sure I'll screw it up one way or the other, but they're all, both the Seattle building and the New York building are over $1 billion with a B dollars. Vegas is $3 billion. It's a building and a little bit of an area that they're building a couple other things, but $3 billion.
Is that the building the hockey team plays in? The Golden Knights?
No. It hasn't been built yet.
Oh,
okay. It will be built. So that's the kind of juice these guys bring to the table. They're very smart people. So when you ask me, do they think they're going to get their money out? I know he loves Baltimore, but they do it for a reason, because they have faith. And he's putting his money where his mouth is. I mean, he really is doing this. So that being said, what I was getting ready to say, we as our citizens from Baltimore, we have this trust that things don't ever appear as people promise them to be to us, right? I'm telling you for a fact, I've been inside that building, I've walked that building. The outside doesn't look much different. So if you're walking by, you say, they're just gonna put lipstick and mascara on it. Nothing's going to change. Same old events, we never get anything like DC gets, right?
It's everybody's gonna think it's lipstick on a pig.
Yep.
From the outside.
I'm going to tell you this, the inside, there is nothing left. There's just columns. I mean, ask me anything, nothing's left. The stage is gone. The ceilings are gone. That means with the stage being gone, you're going to have better sight lines. You're going to have better acoustics, a little bit bigger seat wise. You're going to have all new concession stands, all new bathrooms. I mean, you're going to have all the amenities of a new building. I promise you, I've toured the new buildings they've done. It's absolutely incredible. You will not, I'm telling you, all the people that are listening, you will not be let down. I promise you that.
And you were telling me for concerts, there's actually going to be a stage that you'll have, like it'll be something what's circular, where people can be, there is no behind or front really.
Well, what we'll do is, the arena itself is on the inside, structurally it's still the same. You can only do so much without knocking her down. Where the stage used to be, there used to be basically just a hole in a wall, and that was our stage. It was called a proscenium stage. We tore that down, and we tore the walls flanking the stage down. So now it's a big open end. It sounds kind of funny because it sounds counterintuitive. I'm going to build a stage back in that hole again. But the problem, the amenity now that they've created is that the sight lines are perfect. So now you can absolutely see 100% in, and they'll round the corners and stuff.
Okay.
The things that, the crazy seats that used to look at each other because of the rectangular building. But that being said, I'll let you lead me into this basically. But that being said, it's being built primarily for concerts.
So the venue, while we could have occasional basketball or hockey or indoor soccer events or indoor lacrosse, The building is based on concert revenue feeding this thing.
Yeah, and look, again, I've been in the building for 34 years. The Bullets have come and gone. Multiple hockey teams have come and gone.
Yep.
The Blast, indoor soccer. Nobody wants to hear this. I'm an honest guy. I don't hold punches at all. We really don't support indoor sports. We really don't. Nobody wants to hear this, but if we did, we would have it. That's as simple. It's a mathematical solution to a problem. If it made money, we would have events, period. Right? That being said, I can't promise anyone anything, right? But we will have basically a brand new spanking new building that we will go after NCAs. We'll get Maryland games back. We're going to get, almost call them Bullets, Wizards back, right? And we'll get hockey back because we definitely kept the hockey ice, right? So that's my intention. So you'll see that. And we'll do stuff that I don't even know how your fans feel, but we were just talking about it today, like esports and things like that. So there'll be some unique things that we're going to do.
And you
too.
could even have MMA events there.
Oh no. I left that out. We are definitely having that. I'm sorry. Yeah, that without it, and obviously we're definitely gonna do wrestling, things like that too.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
All the staples that you're used to with the building.
But the expectation is, shouldn't the viewers out there listening and watching this shouldn't think, hey, we're going to get this $200 million fix, that we're going to get ice hockey, a regular NHL or NBA team. That ain't happening. That's not the plan.
Yeah, and you got to remember something too. If you put a brand new 18,500 seat building, blah blah blah, in the heart of Baltimore, and it's absolutely perfect, you probably aren't getting that either, because there's a guy down the street. He's only 30 miles. What do you think? You think he's going to let that go?
Yeah,
that ain't happening. Right, Joe? I don't see that happening. Right?
So,
I guess anything's possible, but I don't see that ever happening.
All right. So give me an idea. I know the building closed right after the CIAA basketball tournament, and next year in February, that's going to be back. That'll be the first act again. It's kind of a bookend thing with them. And then Bruce Springsteen's coming. I know you probably can't give me the schedule, but what level of events are you going to have there? Is there going to be tiered where you got so many concerts that are A level, like Billy Joel, Paul McCartney, or that, and then there'll be some lower events?
So one of the things they told me coming in, I used to book the building by myself, basically. Live Nation would help me, but
that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we hustled it. We sold Baltimore, I'm telling you. And look, this is going to sound like a typical, as they used to call, like a tummy rub, like I'm giving your fans a little tummy rub and a pat on the back, but I couldn't do it. I can do whatever I want. If people don't pay for the tickets and don't come, I don't have a job, right? So I can't tell you how much I appreciate and love Baltimore. And it's a fact. You bring the right event, they come. That being said, for once in my life, I'm going to have someone actually help me. Tim Lewicki is the kind of guy that picks up the phone and calls Garth Brooks and says, look, I got 5, I got 10, I got 100 buildings. What do you think? Let's cut a deal. There's a guy too named Irving Azoff, who's a part owner of my company.
I know, he's a big time agent, right?
Humongous agent. Nothing's guaranteed in life, but don't you think he's going to kind of steer the ship in our direction, right? I mean, that's just common sense. So you have those people fighting for me too. I've never had that before. We were always chained, right? We were always chained, and now we're unleashed. So this is what they tell us. To go back in the serendipitous route to your question. I used to do 105 or so shows a year. I'll probably do 120 to 130, which at first blush you go, oh, that's not that much for all that money. Yeah. Well, the difference is I would do maybe 15 concerts a year, of which maybe 2 were A's, maybe 3 at the most. I was looking back at some of my dates. Now, what it looks like, and again, in our world, this is what my budget says, right?
Yep.
We're looking at 60 concerts a year and 40 A's. Now,
40 A's.
Yeah, when I'm talking about A's, I'm talking about the Billy Joel, Bruce Springsteen, Eagles, Sade, Garth Brooks, Chris Stapleton, all that. I mean, keep on going. That's, again, that's another great thing about Baltimore. The diversity of music that we all support is insane. And that's why they love us. The promoters love it.
So Frank, let me ask you a question. You've been around this, so you know the reason people said yes to come to the Baltimore Arena while it was Royal Farms or previous. Were there a lot of no's over the years because of the the sort of the brand of the building that will be improved, or is the Oakview group really what's going to push the improvement in the A-level talent that'll come here?
Yes. Both
Okay.
answers. Right.
It's
So
it's both
Parker,
it's both things, isn't
yeah.
it?
So the Oakview, absolutely, but the and it's Oakview double. They're going to help me book, but
Yeah.
also the money they put in, there was built-in negatives in our building. The stage made things very awkward with shows, how they move in, and we had our ceiling that covered our grid was
Yeah.
this like acoustical ceiling that came down and beat.
Those
Right.
kind of fins up top.
Right.
Yeah.
And we called them clouds. That made it miserable to hang shows. What I mean by hanging shows is where you hang their speakers, you hang their video, you hang when they have all the crazy, gadgets and stuff. Well, when you hang stuff, they mark an X on the floor and they want it to hit that X. Well, when you have a flat ceiling, you can just drop a line right down.
Yep.
Boom, it's easy. And that's what we have now.
Right.
Well, what we had, you had to do these things called diamond bridles and stuff. So you had to be a trigonometry major in order, I'm not making this up, in order to do this. So what that did, that made our labor bills intense and made them very high. And it also created a situation where most of the time for a major show, I had to give up the day before as a pre-rig day because they had to come in and do all this math. So that killed me two ways. It killed me because it made it more expensive, right? And
Yep.
DC don't have to do that. Plus, it also took another date out of my schedule where I could have booked another show. So now I'm going to open most of those back up again. Promoters will be happy, right? I'm going to promoters, but I'm also going to the production managers and saying, look, just what I said at the very beginning to you, this isn't the same building. You're going to have another way to, I'm not going to bore everyone, but technically you're going to have another way to move in the building. You have to be able to park more trucks in. You're going to be able to hang more stuff off our ceiling faster. It means you get in and you get out. And you don't have to have a pre-rig day. You have amenities out the wazoo back at stage, right? The production offices and dressing rooms and, all that kind of stuff. Plus, they really do care about the amenities for the fans. The amenities for the fans are going to be, this would be top notch.
It's really hard to imagine right now.
I know it is. It was to me. I think they didn't.
Is there any chance, Frank, that they're speeding up the elevator?
We actually are getting all kind of new elevators and escalators, right?
I probably spent 2 years of my life on that elevator.
Well,
about the 50 times I was on.
Well, let me explain why, right?
Yeah.
Not that anyone cares about this. We never had a freight elevator. They took
Right.
the freight elevator out when they remodeled the building in the 80s. So
Right.
that elevator, we had it because of keg beer and stuff. We had to kind of sacrifice certain
Right.
things to make it a freight elevator too. So and we only had two, so that kind of made it miserable. But yes, so we're getting a fair amount of new elevators and escalators, all spanking brand new stuff.
How are you going to sell it? Now, I get Irving Lazar and what he'll be able to do, but when you're sort of selling this, how are you going to get promoters to understand what this building offers by way of amenities and easier to put something on? How do you do that? Are you going to send out a packet to them? Are you inviting them in, come and see something, or how's that work?
So what we did, we created this thing in the marketing world called a deck, right? Which is just a fancy way of saying a presentation. And we put that together, and we'll get and do a little spiel to some of the promoters. We'll get this group, and we're doing that as we speak, right? I'm literally doing it like once a week now. And then now I'm also doing it to the production managers, because the production manager works for the promoter, but the production manager has a lot of juice, because if he doesn't think he can play that building, then he'll make it really hard for me to convince that promoter. So it's a 1-2 punch. So I'm basically going to do the same thing with the production managers and get them on board, right? And they already love the market, guys. Let's just make sure you understand that too. They want to come here. Now it's just a matter of saying, I got amenities that you're going to want to see, and I'm going to make life easier for you, and you're going to make more money, right?
That's the bottom line.
I promise you, they're coming. We haven't had anyone yet say, that's just the same old play. They're already calling me. I can't talk about my schedule.
There's a buzz in the industry.
Phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I'm getting calls. I'm not going to say it's easy for me, but they're calling me a lot now too, not just me
Okay.
calling them.
That's pretty exciting.
It really is.
Tell me, is anything going to change by way of the parking?
Well, we are going to take over the parking build lot that's attached to the building.
Okay.
We're going to put some money into it and clean it up. But what that really does for us, we're going to have, I think, approximately 38 suites now in this building.
That's
So
a whole new
that's a whole new thing,
new
right?
stratosphere.
We're
Yeah.
not even used to dealing with that, right?
Yeah.
In Baltimore. And with that being said,
Where are they from, Frank? Let me just ask you real quick. Where are they going to be? They're not going to be up at the top, are they? Are they?
They're all over. Honestly, it's going to sound like I'm making it. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
going to have these things called bunker suites that are actually going to be on the first level, right? That you access. There'll be vomitories that never were before that come right out into the arena floor. So that's how you'll go in. Your
Right.
seats for those will be up in where my 102, 101, like they're right in those sections near the seats are phenomenal seats. And then on the top of the second level, we'll have another row of suites. Then on the very upper level where the skybox used to be,
Yeah.
that's totally changed. That's going to be suites all around that top level too. So it gives you, depending on your money and what you want to accomplish, what you're looking for, you can choose those levels. You have BMW and you have Yugo,
Yep.
whatever. I mean, you go from one extreme to another, but it gets you in the building. And with all the amenities, these aren't just rooms, right? These are really dressed up.
I understand. Is Oakview going to have on payroll salespeople to sell signage, naming rights, different entrances? Is there going to be inventory that they will
Yes.
monetize, and will they be doing that, or you'll
Yeah.
be the boss of that?
I oversee it, but they bring in a whole bunch of guys there. We used to do it all in-house ourselves,
Yeah.
right? I was more or less focused on shows more than anything else and running an older building. So all that other stuff was secondary. Well, now all that other stuff is hand in hand with me. So we had to get a whole sales force on just premium seats and another whole sales force on sponsorship. I mean, you're talking about naming rights. It sounds crazy in our world, but it's when you do the math. I had to listen to all my sales guys, speeches, right? And when you listen to them, you go, yeah, it really is worth it. When you look at the events that I'm bringing, right?
Yeah.
And the diversification of eyes, again, nothing against the Ravens or Orioles, but you're basically almost seeing the same eyes at every Ravens game, right? So we'll probably sell this naming rights over $3.5 million a year. It'll be incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible. And we have all kind of interest. And that they're actually taking a step back, right? It's supply and demand because you only have one naming rights. So they've been kind of tempered about it, just to kind of hold back. So that's a great sign for me because that's something that's out of my ballpark. And to see the people knocking at the door to get these suites and specialty seats and signage and things like that. And we are going to put new outdoor message boards, big monsters out and stuff.
That's what I was going to ask you. That was the
Yeah.
last question I had for you. It's one thing to tell me it's not lipstick on a pig. Was anything going to designate, wow, look at that?
Yeah. And again, the problem is with me saying this, everything is subject to change when you're building.
Yep.
And look, every one of us gets this right now. There's the supply chain issues and things like that. But the intention are to have a humongous marquee out on the corner of Baltimore and Hopkins. And also on the outside of the building, they took all those old billboards are all going to be down. They're going to redo the face of the building. So when I just say a little bit of lipstick and mascara, it's a lot of money being put back into the outside. Yeah. The whole front of the building is going to be a promenade with trees and bushes and landscaping. And I'm into that, man. I like that. I think a city needs that. They need some country in the city, if that makes sense, right?
I know what you mean.
And and that being said, I'm not, I'm going to try to work on some new stuff. I'm definitely going to try to do some outdoor festivals and things like that, because now that I have that pretty promenade basically out there, we'll shut down Hopkins Street and try to create some kind of, a country type atmosphere and then bring them inside.
Was Springsteen, would that have happened had the building never been ready to change? And is he excited about being the first big act to open this place?
That's tough because remember, we've had Springsteen twice.
And
and
he's already sold out, right?
Yeah, he sold out as fast as Ticketmaster could produce the tickets. Yeah, I would think that
Is he like nobody else in that regard? Does he sell out faster than?
I tell you what, he's up there. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to think. I don't want to put any more. You can imagine there's probably, you can count them on one hand, right? I mean, that's what you imagine, right?
Yeah.
But he is, that did go a lot to tell somebody you have the first event ever.
Yeah.
But he was, I think the way this building's built too, that the suites won't be in your face.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, acts don't like that. They like what we are. I mean, they like blue collar towns. I know this sounds corny, but that's what you hear from acts. Tom Petty came and Bruce came specifically a while ago because we didn't have suites.
Right.
So they took that into account how they're building this building. They won't be in your face, as again,
Gotcha.
nothing against people that wear ties, but everybody in ties aren't paying attention to the show. Like, remember how certain Royal games you would go to try to watch the show?
People are on their
Yes.
cell phones or
Exactly. You got
eating
it.
quiche. Hey,
Right.
I really appreciate your spending some time and explaining this to us. Last question I've got for you is, are things on time right now? Because I know I've done some way smaller building projects in the $100,000 range, but there's a lot of last minute stuff. Do you feel confident we're going to be on deadline for this?
I don't think they have a choice. It's a funny thing as the show goes on. You heard that with the circus years ago, right?
Yeah.
Well, we will be ready. We will definitely be ready for CIAs. Then we'll take about a month off and get that final punch list, right? Get it going. Then for Bruce, one way or the other, it will happen. We will be ready. What this company did, again, I'll finish with this. What they did before they even got the bid, they had to go out and purchase the steel, because if they wouldn't have, it wouldn't have been ready. That's what kind of confidence, when you ask me with Tim Lewicki, that's what kind of confidence he had. Think about that. That's his money. He invested in Baltimore before he even had it.
Well, would Tim come on this Zoom with me and Gary Stein?
I can ask. Obviously, you can imagine what he does, but I can ask.
I know.
And I think if you send me something and I can make it with that, you get that Baltimore Blast. Did you meet him? Did you know him, Stan?
I didn't know him very well. They had and I'm forgetting his last name. There was a guy who was the general manager, Mitch.
Yeah, that's before me.
With Kenny Cooper, and when Bernie Roden owned the team, it was about 82 or 83.
Yeah, that was before
I was just starting my career in broadcasting then. Well,
because it would be kind of a neat story if you could say, I don't know if you remember me, but I shook your hand on the stage, blah, 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 during a Blast game. That would be a cool memory.
I don't think I can lie like that, but I did know Earl Foreman very well.
There you go, right?
Former commissioner of the MISL.
Right,
exactly. His sister was my aunt's best friend. And in 1965, Joe Cone was her husband, and Joe Cone was Earl Foreman's brother-in-law when he owned the Bullets. I got a job as a ball boy for the Bullets in 1965.
So. That's how you got to love Baltimore. I swear to God, it's like Kevin Bacon all over the place. Within two people, you'll know somebody that knows someone, right? That's a great story. Hey, send me a little email and I'll put it up the food chain, right?
Will do. Frank, we appreciate the time, and we'll get you on sometime as we get closer to the excitement building up around this. All right.
Appreciate the support. Thank you, sir.
All right. General manager of the Baltimore Arena. It'll have a corporate name when it reopens or shortly into its existence as a new arena. But we appreciate Frank Remesch stopping by. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
All right. Got to tell you just before we leave, I'll be back on today on Facebook Live and YouTube with none other than Steve Brunner from KOM Sports. They are the folks that are promoting the Maryland Cycling Classic that's coming up September 1st through the 4th. We'll find out about that. That's coming up at 5 o'clock today. Of course, if you're watching this on the website, that doesn't really mean anything to you. Also, Monday night, which is the 15th, I think it is, right? Monday night, our guest will be Ken Guthrie. Who is Ken Guthrie? He's the Orioles scout who scouted Jackson Holliday and worked very hard on signing him and pushing Mike Elias to draft him. He was also very involved with Heston Kjerstad and we'll get what he thinks about those two players and the system, which is now considered one of the top 2 or 3 systems in all of Major League Baseball. But at 5 today, Steve Brunner joins us at KOM Sports. They're all brought to you by the Costas Inn. Costas Inn, located 4100 North Point Boulevard. Costas Inn, everybody in Baltimore knows if you want steamed crabs, they're the place to get them. Some people still now, especially with variants flying around, aren't crazy about sitting inside a building. They make it very easy now with their curbside, or we called it takeout in the old days. All you have to do is go to their website, costasin.com, order your food, pay for it, leave a tip for the help, and then pull up and they'll bring it out to your car. You don't even have to leave your car. That's the Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. Tell them Stan the Fan sent you. I'll be back today at 5 with Steve Brunner, and Monday at 6 with Ross Grimsley and Ken Guthrie, Orioles scout. Bye for now.